the government, the ease of doing business, the ease of livelihoods was very, very different from what it is today. So in a short span of 8 to 10 years, I think we have really traveled a long distance. But at that point of time, I remember that getting an extra acre of land to expand our operations was a major negotiation. The amount of money that was being asked both officially and not so officially was something that at least my company could not afford. And the result was that I decided to invest that money in China. I decided to go and make an arrangement in China, use all the factors of manufacturing that were available to us in China, namely land at very cheap rates, a fantastic factory with a whole ecosystem, the whole supply chain working there. Within the premises of our factory in Shenzhen, we also had employee hostel, we had a basketball court, and these young boys and girls over there were given 3 very healthy meals. They could watch television, play basketball in their free time, and operate in 10 to 12-hour shifts. I'm very, very glad that in the last 8-10 years that transition was made. We divested out of that company. My factories are now in Noida, and on each factor of production today, we are getting closer to where we were at China. Thank you. I think what I saw this evening, thanks to all of you, is an answer to that question I had. Why do I have to go to China and employ 600 people there, whereas I could have done the same business with 600 Indian brothers and sisters working with me? These kind of facilities, this kind of infrastructure, plug and play that you mentioned to me, the kind of ease of doing business that you're talking about is truly a dream come true. And I cannot but agree that the $5 trillion GDP goal that our Honorable Prime Minister set for us seems much closer than when it was announced. So thank you very much for putting all this together. I think this conference gives us a platform to take a deep dive into the importance of Indian industrial infrastructure development in our country, and also gives us an opportunity to reimagine the India as a hub for futuristic industrial cities. No longer when we go abroad, we'll be told that China is the factory of the world and India is the BPO of the world. I think our time to be established as a manufacturing and export hub for the world has now arrived. The same was done, in fact, like I mentioned, not only in China, but before that in Taiwan, South Korea, and earlier in Japan. Manufacturing, and especially manufacturing from the sector that I come, electronics, IT, technology, has actually allowed us as a launchpad in these countries to double, triple, and quadruple their GDPs within a period of 10 to 20 years. That's exactly what we ask of today. If I ask myself as an entrepreneur, what is my responsibility? It is to convert capital into meaningful, sustainable jobs. I was not able to do that, quite honestly, because of a lot of these factors that were missing. Electricity, getting electricity, the monopolization of electricity, the fact that in spite of having electricity from the grid, as somebody mentioned in the MSME sector, you have to have literally your own little substation within your factory to monitor the power, quality, etc. If all this comes true, and I am sure it is coming true, then a lot of that will get achieved. The ambitious National Industrial Corridor Development Program has been conceived, of course, as we know now, to connect some of India's key economic centers to promote world-class manufacturing and transform India into a global manufacturing hub. The factors of production that I mentioned, we know are, and I always say that I'll put it as a figure. If you take the 3 factors of production which are really beyond the competitive control of any one industrialist or businessman like me, which means competitiveness outside my factory walls, that is the cost of energy, the cost of logistics, and finally the cost of finance that's available in that country. And I'm very happy that at least 2 of them are getting answered here in an extremely efficient manner. The development of these dedicated industrial zones across the country will ensure the availability of such high quality resources, we are sure, to both large, and I'm very happy also to medium, and as we were assured a little while earlier, to medium and small scale industrial players. These industrial nodes and projects being developed under this program, I'm sure will facilitate investments, manufacturing, jobs, and what I think is the most important, development of robust global value chains. Because at the moment, even in electronics, we've been able to come to what I would call assembly. We are all very aware that what got us to assembly will probably not get us to manufacturing. And what you're doing here is actually a trigger for us to step up from assembly go deeper in the value chain and add more value within the country we love so much. The recently announced Gati Shakti plan will be at the core of this industrial corridor program. Seamless connectivity between industrial nodes as part of the Gati Shakti will offer India a multimodal transport advantage. Combined with reduced travel times, as you said, walk to home or cycle to home, this will improve industrial productivity and enhance the capabilities of cargo and labor inputs across industrial sectors. My factories are in Noida, and I know Bhushan sir is here. This is the primary, and it was probably thought of 35 years ago as an industrial house. And as was pointed out, I think, by some audits recently, a lot of that land went to non-industrial users, as is possible, because you're so close to Delhi, cost of land will go up, and people will find other more profitable uses to that. But one thing that I still think is a burning issue, and I'm sure that you're going to answer it, Meena sir, is the fact that in an industrial cluster like Noida, the directors and owners like us, of course, can buy a good piece of land and make a very interesting house. Our managers can do that, but the workers can still not afford, even after 20, 30 years of work, they cannot afford a house. And I see that now that we have land at these rates available, can we innovatively think of a scheme where industrial worker hostels, not necessarily belonging to the businessmen, because there are labor and union and negotiability issues with that, but if we can have we can have areas for low-cost housing as hostels for employees, which might be paid for by us, by the entrepreneur in bulk, and with a scheme where if the worker works with us for 10, 15, 20 years, he slowly pays off for that house, and then at the 10 or 15 years, that house could be his. Now, that could be a fantastic model, in my opinion, because at the moment, to think of industrial competitiveness without taking the welfare of our workers in mind, I think will not be sustainable. And that's something that I just had as a suggestion to leave with you. There were several very, very good examples. I do want to point out one, and I'm very happy that many companies already here from China, from Korea, and of course from within our own country have already shown interest and taken plots. Over the long run, such large-scale investments are likely to drive the country's shift from basic industrial sectors to relatively high value-added manufacturing in areas such as I mentioned, electronics, defense, aerospace, renewable energy, automotive, and pharmaceuticals. At the end, I would only say that there is only one regret I have, that I was born 20 years too early. Stars for India are lining up in every which way, from political policy to the way bureaucrats are handling policy, to what we are able to do as entrepreneurs. I just wish I was born 20 years later, because I think the future ahead of us is extremely golden. Thank you very much.